Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for logging on to CBS in Denver and CBSDenver.com. It is time for a few more minutes with our Xfinity Monday Live guest, former Broncos linebacker Brandon Marshall, joining us tonight. B. Marsh, expectations for this coming season for the Denver Broncos are what?
Man, I think now with, Teddy Bridgewater being named the starter, I could see this team making the playoffs, maybe 10-7, 11-6, especially with that defense, man. So, I think they'll make the playoffs.
Hold up. You told me in the show that you had the Raiders going second in the AFC West. Yeah. Now you have the Broncos making the playoffs.
All three can make the playoffs, now.
There is a situation where that could happen. Yeah, because obviously I think everybody's penciling in the Chiefs, right? They're probably going to be the top seed, maybe the second
Browns,
seed.
Ravens going to go, but I could see AFC West making a run.
Yeah, well, now with 7 teams, it's even more possible than it has been. Brandon, let's say, for the sake of argument, that this team gets off to a slow start, right? I mean, when you look at their schedule, it seems like they could easily go 3-0 in September. But we've said that before about the September schedule. Vic Fangio, as we know, has not won a game in September during his time as a head coach here in Denver. If he struggles again in September, how hot is that seat going to be?
Extremely hot, piping hot. It's going to be piping hot, you know what I'm saying? Because he has the roster to do it, right? Now we can no longer say, oh, the roster is in. No, the roster is great. So it's going to be piping hot if he can't win.
You've been in locker rooms where the coach has been on the hot seat. What is that like? Are you as a player aware of that? And what is that like?
Oh, yeah. I mean, you're definitely aware of it, I mean, I think we're more worried about our jobs, as players, but you can kind of feel the coach that's kind of pressing too. When you had like Vance Joseph, you can feel him pressing. When I was in Jacksonville, Mike Mularkey, he tried to hype us up, saying that he picked us for fantasy this week, which was wild. It was probably the craziest pregame speech I've ever heard in my life. But you can tell when they're pressing, man. So yeah, you feel it.
All right. We talked about this defense. If there's one sore spot on this defense, one area where you're like, maybe not so much. We know they're good in the secondary. We know they're going to be really good at edge rusher if everybody stays healthy. Where do you see maybe a weak link in this defense if there is one?
I mean, maybe if you had to pick one, maybe because I think Alexander Johnson is one of the better linebackers in the league, right? Maybe next to him. But Josie plays well, so if you pick a spot, then it may be the weak side inside backer.
Yeah. Do you think people are sleeping on Alexander Johnson?
Yeah, I think people are sleeping on him because he's not necessarily flashy. He's not the fastest or the most explosive, but he makes plays. He has instincts. He gets to the ball every time.
Well, and it's crazy because when you talk about this defense, right, everybody obviously goes to Vaughn and Bradley Chubb, and then they go to the secondary, and it's like, oh, by the way, that guy Alexander Johnson, he can play some ball too. Brandon, you and I are going to be hanging out the day after every single Broncos game on CBS in Denver. Upon further review with B. Marsh and Michael, the name of our new podcast that we're going to be dropping the day after every single game. Really looking forward to that. Continue to bring the takes, and we'll be hanging out a lot during this season. All right, man?
Sounds good, man.
All right. Hey, that's going to do it for us. Thanks so much for logging on to CBSDenver.com and CBS in Denver.